Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that the life you're living is only a fraction of the life you're capable of. Not because you lack talent, not because you lack opportunity, but because somewhere along the way you stopped upgrading yourself. You kept moving, but you stopped rebuilding. Most people don't lose their potential in one dramatic moment. It slips away quietly, hidden inside the routines they never question, the beliefs they never challenge, and the standards they slowly allow to drop. And then one day, they look in the mirror and wonder where their fire went. But what if I told you that the most powerful version of you is not behind you, but ahead of you? What if the greatest chapter of your life hasn't been written yet? What if everything could change, not by chance, but by choice? Today, I want to show you that you are not stuck. You are simply not finished. You are under construction. And the beautiful thing about construction is that it can begin anytime you decide. So if you're ready to tear down old limits, rebuild your confidence, and redesign your future from the inside out, then let's begin. Personal responsibility is the foundation upon which every meaningful transformation is built. It is the moment you stop waiting for someone to rescue you, stop blaming circumstances for your outcomes, and stop handing your power to the outside world. It is the recognition that your life, in every season, is shaped far more by your responses than your conditions. Many people move through life believing that their current circumstance is the deciding factor of their future. They hold on to the idea that the economy, their upbringing, their boss, their relationships, or even luck will determine whether they succeed or stay stuck. But the truth is far more empowering. The direction of your life is determined by the choices you make every day, not the conditions you were given. Taking personal responsibility does not mean you ignore the challenges, the pain, or the unfair experiences you may have faced. It means you acknowledge that while you may not have created certain situations, you do hold the power to choose how you rise beyond them. Many people live in a cycle of waiting for motivation, waiting for the right time, waiting for someone to give them permission. But life does not reward waiting, it rewards action. Personal responsibility shifts your mindset from, someone should fix this for me, to, I will find a way to fix this myself. That shift, though simple, is one of the most profound decisions a person can make. When you take responsibility for your life, you stop negotiating with excuses. You begin to see excuses for what they really are, comfortable lies that keep you where you are. It becomes clear that blaming your past does not change it, and blaming others does not improve your future. You learn that your results come from your behavior, and your behavior comes from your choices. If you want different outcomes, you must make different choices. This realization can feel uncomfortable at first because it removes all the hiding places. But it is in that discomfort that real power appears. It is much easier to blame than to change, but only one of those leads to progress. Taking responsibility also means acknowledging your potential. People often think responsibility is a burden, but it is actually a gift. It means you possess the ability to shape your own future. If your habits created your current results, then new habits can create better results. If past decisions built the life you have now, then better decisions can build a better life. Responsibility is an invitation to reclaim control. Instead of feeling like a passenger in your own story, you become the author again. When you choose responsibility, you begin to think differently about your time. You start valuing it as the most precious resource you have. Instead of wasting hours on distractions or activities that don't help you grow, you start using your time intentionally. You read more, plan more, practice more, and invest more in yourself. You stop saying, I don't have time, and start saying, it's not a priority, because responsibility teaches you that you always have time for what truly matters. This simple change can transform the way you approach your days and shape your future in ways that surprise even you. Another important part of responsibility is understanding that your emotions are yours to manage. Many people allow their feelings to control their actions, reacting instead of responding. But when you take responsibility, you learn to step back, think, and choose your behavior rather than letting anger, fear, laziness, or doubt guide your decisions. You begin to build inner strength. You become steady, intentional, and disciplined. This emotional maturity lets you step into situations with clarity rather than chaos. Over time, you become the kind of person others rely on because they trust your consistency. Responsibility also means becoming honest with yourself. You learn to look at your life with clear eyes. If something is not working, you admit it. If you need improvement, you accept it. This honesty is not meant to make you feel defeated. It is meant to empower you. You cannot fix what you refuse to face. But once you face it, you can change it. You can build new skills, new attitudes, and new habits. You can rewrite your story one decision at a time. Ultimately, personal responsibility is about ownership. It is about saying, my life is mine to shape. It is the moment you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. When you make that decision, you step into a new level of strength and clarity. You begin to feel the weight of your potential, and you realize that your future is not something that happens to you. It is something you build. Changing your philosophy means changing the way you think at the deepest level. It is not about adopting a few positive thoughts or repeating motivational phrases. It is about transforming the very lens through which you see life. Your philosophy is the collection of ideas, beliefs, assumptions, and attitudes that you carry, many of which you may not even realize are guiding you. Yet every choice you make, every habit you form, and every result you experience flows directly from this inner blueprint. If you want to rebuild yourself, you must first rebuild the beliefs that shape your behavior, because your behavior can never consistently rise above the thinking that produces it. Most people live with a philosophy shaped unintentionally. They absorb the attitudes of their family, their culture, the media they consume, and the people they spend time with. Over time, these influences become unquestioned truths, silently dictating what they believe is possible or impossible, what they deserve or don't deserve, and what they should or should not pursue. For some, this philosophy is one of limitation. They believe the world is harsh, resources are scarce, opportunities are reserved for the lucky, and effort does not pay off. Others carry a philosophy of fear, convinced that mistakes define them or that taking risks will lead to embarrassment or loss. Still others carry a philosophy of entitlement, expecting rewards without effort, or believing the world owes them progress. These philosophies shape the entire course of a life, often without the person realizing they are the ones holding the pen. When you change your philosophy, you begin by examining these beliefs instead of letting them operate in the background. You start asking yourself why you think the way you do, and whether that thinking has been helping you or holding you back. You begin to notice how certain beliefs influence your actions. If you believe you are unlucky, you may stop trying. If you believe you are not good enough, you may avoid challenges. If you believe success is reserved for others, you may never step into opportunities. But once you become aware of these patterns, you can interrupt them. You can decide that your old thinking will not lead your future. You can construct a new mental framework, one built on possibility, responsibility, discipline, curiosity, and growth. A powerful shift happens when you replace a philosophy of limitation with a philosophy of opportunity. Instead of seeing obstacles as barriers, you see them as signals that growth is required. Instead of thinking, I can't do this, you start wondering, what skills do I need to learn? Instead of feeling defeated by challenges, you feel motivated to rise above them. This change may seem subtle, but it transforms your life because your actions begin to reflect a belief in your ability to improve. You start taking risks, learning new things, and pushing your boundaries. Your mind becomes a partner rather than a prison. Another important part of changing your philosophy is understanding the role of cause and effect in your life. Many people believe their results are caused by luck, external circumstances, or other people's decisions. But once you adopt a philosophy of cause and effect, you understand that your results come largely from your own actions and habits. If you want different outcomes, you must create different causes. That means changing your routine, your conversations, your environment, and your effort. You begin to take ownership of your direction rather than drifting through life. This shift alone can elevate your sense of control and confidence. Changing your philosophy also means changing the way you interpret life's difficulties. Instead of seeing hardship as a sign that you should quit, you begin seeing it as part of the path. You recognize that every person who succeeded had to overcome challenges, and that challenges are not punishments, they are strengthening agents. They sharpen your character, build your resilience, and teach you lessons that comfort never could. When your philosophy embraces this truth, you stop running from discomfort. You start walking toward growth even when it feels intimidating because you understand the value it brings. A renewed philosophy also influences the way you see yourself. You begin to see potential where you once saw limitation. You begin to see capabilities where you once saw weaknesses. You understand that you are not trapped by your past or defined by your mistakes. You realize that you can build new habits, new skills, and new attitudes at any time. This understanding creates a sense of inner freedom. It gives you permission to evolve, to let go of who you were, and to step into who you can become. When your philosophy changes, the way you speak changes, the way you carry yourself changes, and the standards you set for your life rise. You begin to aim higher, expect more from yourself, and surround yourself with ideas and people that nourish your growth. You stop settling for the ordinary and begin reaching for the extraordinary. Your philosophy becomes the driving force behind your actions, guiding you toward a future that reflects your potential rather than your limitations. Daily disciplines are the small, consistent actions that shape the quality of your life. They may appear insignificant at first glance, almost too simple to matter, but these tiny patterns of behavior are what separate growth from stagnation, strength from weakness, and achievement from regret. Many people underestimate the power of daily disciplines because they seem ordinary. They believe that only big breakthroughs or sudden bursts of motivation create lasting results. But true transformation rarely comes from dramatic moments. It comes from the quiet repetition of small, purposeful choices that compound over time. The challenge is that daily disciplines require patience, and patience is something the modern world has made difficult. We live in a time where people want overnight success, instant recognition, and immediate results. But anything built to last must be built slowly. The person who practices discipline every day understands that consistency is far more powerful than intensity. Doing something productive for 10 minutes a day is more effective than doing something productive for 2 hours once a month. Discipline creates momentum. Momentum creates progress. Progress creates confidence. Confidence fuels even greater discipline. That is the cycle that builds a strong and capable person. The beauty of daily disciplines is that they bring structure to your journey. When you commit to small habits, reading a few pages, exercising for a short time, practicing a skill, reflecting on your day, saving a small amount of money, you begin to organize your life around growth rather than chaos. You no longer depend on motivation, which is unreliable and inconsistent. Instead, you rely on habits which carry you forward even on days you feel tired, discouraged, or uninspired. Discipline sustains you when motivation disappears, and it is during those moments that your character is built. Anyone can act with enthusiasm in the beginning. Discipline proves itself when enthusiasm fades. Daily disciplines also protect you from the slow decay that comes from neglect. Life has a way of punishing neglect quietly. If you neglect your health, the consequences show up slowly at first, then all at once. If you neglect your finances, small poor decisions accumulate into heavy burdens. If you neglect your relationships, distance grows without your awareness. If you neglect your goals, your potential fades unnoticed. Discipline prevents that decay. It keeps you alert, aware, and intentional. It ensures that each important area of your life receives steady attention rather than slipping into disorder. There is something deeply empowering about knowing you can trust yourself to follow through. When you keep promises to yourself, your self-respect grows. You begin to see yourself as someone capable, reliable, and strong. Many people struggle with confidence not because they lack ability, but because they have repeatedly broken their own commitments. They say they will change but don't. They say they will start but never do. Every broken promise weakens their belief in their own potential. Daily discipline repairs this belief. When you tell yourself you will do something, and then you consistently do it, you rebuild internal trust. That trust becomes the foundation of a long, lasting transformation. Another powerful aspect of daily disciplines is their compounding effect. A single discipline done once may seem trivial, but done every day it grows into something extraordinary. Reading 10 pages a day becomes hundreds of books over a lifetime. Saving a small amount consistently becomes financial stability. Practicing a skill for a few minutes daily leads to mastery over time. Speaking kindly every day builds strong, meaningful relationships. These small efforts create results so far beyond their individual size that they seem almost magical. But it is not magic. It is the predictable consequence of steady, repeated action. Daily disciplines also sharpen your awareness of how you spend your time. You begin to notice how easily hours can slip away on distractions, and you become more protective of your energy. You learn to choose productive actions over passive ones. You begin to design your days instead of drifting through them. Each day becomes an opportunity, not a burden. You start moving through life with intention, clarity, and purpose. The greatest gift of daily discipline is that it shapes your identity. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who wishes for a better life and start seeing yourself as someone who builds one. Each disciplined action reinforces the identity of a person who grows, learns, and improves. Over time, you become the kind of individual who naturally chooses what is good, healthy, and productive. You become someone with self-control, direction, and determination. This identity becomes your strength during difficult moments because you know who you are and what you stand for. Your associations have a powerful influence on the person you become, often far more than you realize. Human beings naturally absorb attitudes, beliefs, habits, and expectations from the people they spend the most time with. Without noticing it, you begin to speak like them, think like them, act like them, and eventually become like them. This happens in subtle ways, through conversations, shared routines, emotional energy, and the standards people set for themselves. Because of this, the company you keep can be one of your greatest assets or one of your greatest limitations. If you want to rebuild yourself, you must take a close look at the environment shaping your mindset and your behavior. Many people stay stuck because they surround themselves with individuals who have settled for less. People who always complain, always doubt, always criticize, and always expect the worst. When you are surrounded by that energy day after day, it slowly shapes your thinking. You begin to internalize the same limitations. You start believing progress is impossible or that goals are unrealistic. Negative associations drain ambition and replace it with fear, laziness, or cynicism. Even if you have dreams, spending time with those who do not believe in their own potential makes it harder to believe in yours. The truth is, you cannot grow while constantly standing in the shade of someone else's limitations. On the other hand, positive and growth-minded associations can elevate your life in extraordinary ways. When you spend time with people who expect more of themselves, you begin expecting more of yourself as well. When you communicate with driven, curious, disciplined individuals, their energy influences your behavior. Their conversations push you to think bigger. Their habits remind you of the value of consistency. Their achievements expand your sense of what is possible. You find yourself wanting to rise to their level, not out of competition, but out of inspiration. Just being around people who take their future seriously encourages you to take yours seriously too. Associations also influence your standards. Every person has an internal bar they operate from, what they consider normal effort, normal goals, normal behavior. Your circle plays a huge role in shaping that bar. If your environment treats complaining as normal, you will adopt that pattern. If everyone around you spends their days wasting time, avoiding responsibility, or settling for comfort, you may lower your standards without even realizing it. But if your circle values discipline, learning, and honest self-improvement, those qualities begin to feel natural to you. You slowly adjust your habits to match the expectations of the people around you. Changing your associations does not always mean cutting people out of your life completely. It means recognizing the role each person plays and adjusting the influence you allow them to have. Some people can remain in your life, but from a distance. You can care about someone without giving them the power to shape your mindset. You can enjoy time with them without adopting their beliefs. And for those who bring negativity, resentment, or discouragement into your world, you may need to limit your interactions significantly, not out of cruelty, but out of self-preservation. Protecting your growth is not selfish, it is necessary. You also have the ability to intentionally build new associations. Seek people who push you to be better. Look for mentors, even if they are not people you know personally. A mentor can be someone in your community, someone in your profession, or someone you learn from through books, talks, or examples. Surround yourself with individuals who live the kind of life you aspire to. People with character, discipline, humility, and vision. Even observing their habits or listening to their ideas can shift your thinking. Associations affect your emotional energy as well. Some people lift your spirit, give you clarity, and make you feel stronger. Others drain your energy, cloud your thinking, and leave you discouraged. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. If you constantly feel smaller, weaker, or more negative after being around a person, that is a sign that their influence is harming your growth. If you feel motivated, focused, and optimistic after interacting with someone, that is a sign that they are aligned with the person you want to become. Your environment functions like a climate. It can be warm and supportive, encouraging growth, or cold and harsh, stunting progress. Choosing the right climate is one of the smartest decisions you can make. You cannot plant seeds in frozen soil and expect a harvest. Likewise, you cannot rebuild yourself in an environment that refuses to grow. Your associations should reflect your future, not your past. They should inspire your transformation, not resist it. When you deliberately surround yourself with people who value growth, your own growth becomes almost unavoidable. Setting clear goals is the process of giving your life direction, structure, and meaning. It is the act of deciding who you want to become, what you want to achieve, and where you want your energy to go. Without goals, life becomes a matter of drifting, moving from one moment to the next without purpose or intention. You end up reacting instead of creating, surviving instead of progressing, wishing instead of planning. When you set clear goals, you give your mind a target. The mind works best when it has something specific to pursue, something concrete to move toward. Clarity creates focus, and focus creates progress. Many people avoid setting goals because they fear disappointment. They worry that writing down what they want will make failure more painful. Others avoid goals because they have been taught to think small, to avoid dreaming too big, or to rely on circumstances rather than their own decisions. But without a clear destination, you can walk for years and still be nowhere. If you do not decide what matters to you, the world will decide for you. Goals are your blueprint for rebuilding yourself. They pull you forward and give your daily disciplines a purpose. Setting clear goals begins with honest self-reflection. You must ask yourself what you truly want, not what others expect from you or what society insists is important. You must identify the areas of your life that need strengthening. Your health, your mindset, your relationships, your finances, your career, your character. A life rebuilt on clarity is a life designed intentionally. When you know exactly what you want, every decision becomes easier. You no longer waste time on distractions because you can instantly see whether something supports your goals or pulls you away from them. Goals must be specific to be effective. Vague goals create vague actions. If you tell yourself you want to get healthier, that is a wish, not a direction. But if you say you want to exercise 30 minutes a day, drink more water, improve your sleep, or lose a specific amount of weight within a certain time, you give yourself actionable steps. The more detailed the goal, the easier it becomes to take daily action. Specificity eliminates confusion. It creates a roadmap that leads you forward one small milestone at a time. Clear goals also help measure progress. Growth is difficult to notice without some form of tracking. When you set measurable goals, you can see how far you have come, which gives you motivation to continue. Progress builds momentum, and momentum makes discipline easier. Each small achievement proves to your mind that change is happening. These internal victories are powerful because they strengthen your belief in your ability to create a better life. Belief is essential. When you believe something is possible, you open the door for action. When you believe it is impossible, you close that door before trying. Another important aspect of setting clear goals is breaking them into smaller steps. Many people become overwhelmed by large ambitions because they see only the final result, not the path that leads there. When a goal is broken into smaller, manageable actions, it becomes less intimidating. You stop thinking about the entire mountain and start focusing on the next step. Consistently taking small steps turns impossible-seeming goals into achievable realities. This approach not only reduces fear but also develops resilience. Each small step builds mental toughness and teaches you the value of persistence. Goals also provide a filter for the people you associate with. When you are clear about what you want, it becomes easier to identify which relationships support your direction and which ones distract you. Goals naturally attract those who respect your ambition and repel those who discourage growth. Being goal-oriented sharpens your boundaries and inspires others to take their lives seriously as well. Setting goals forces you to confront any excuses or limitations you have been holding on to. You must face the truth about your habits, your routines, and your mindset. This honesty can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Goals reveal where you have been settling. They highlight the gap between who you are and who you can be. That gap is your opportunity. It is the space where growth happens. By acknowledging it, you gain the power to close it. Clear goals also give your life purpose. Purpose is what makes your effort meaningful. When you wake up with a goal in mind, your days have direction. You no longer move randomly. You start prioritizing what matters. Your time becomes valuable. Procrastination loses its grip because you understand what is at stake. Purpose gives your life emotional energy. It fuels your resilience during difficult moments and strengthens your determination when challenges arise. Ultimately, setting clear goals is an act of self-respect. It is saying to yourself that your future is worth planning, your dreams are worth pursuing, and your potential is worth fulfilling. It is the conscious choice to build a life intentionally rather than letting life happen by accident. With every goal you set and commit to, you construct a clearer, stronger, more focused version of yourself. Learning, unlearning, and relearning is one of the most powerful processes in personal growth because it acknowledges that life is constantly changing and that your internal beliefs must evolve with it. Many people continue living by old ideas, outdated habits, and assumptions they formed years ago, often without questioning whether those ideas still serve them. What once protected you may now be limiting you. What once motivated you may now be slowing you down. Growth requires the flexibility to let go of the mental walls you have outgrown and embrace new ways of thinking that match the future you want to build. Learning is the first step, and it is more than gathering information. It is the process of expanding your understanding of yourself and the world. When you learn, you expose your mind to new perspectives, new skills, and new possibilities. You begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You discover solutions that were invisible to you before. Learning stretches your awareness and helps you operate with greater clarity. Many people stop learning once they leave school, but true education begins only when you take responsibility for your own growth. Books, conversations, mentors, experiences, challenges, all of these become your teachers. Every new idea you encounter adds another tool to your toolbox, another piece of wisdom that can guide your decisions and shape your character. But learning alone is not enough. Some of the beliefs you carry today were formed when you were too young to question them. Some were created out of fear. Some came from people who did not understand your potential or lacked the vision you now possess. These beliefs influence your choices unconsciously, limiting what you try, what you ask for, and what you believe is possible. That is why unlearning is just as important as learning. Unlearning means identifying the thoughts that are no longer helpful and deliberately releasing them. It requires honesty with yourself. You must be willing to see where your thinking is outdated or unproductive. You must be willing to challenge ideas you once held tightly. You must be willing to admit that a new level of life cannot be built on old patterns of thought. Unlearning can feel uncomfortable because it disrupts your identity. You may feel uncertain, exposed, or even disloyal to the version of yourself you once were. But this discomfort is a sign of growth. It means you are shedding beliefs that no longer align with your goals. It means you are clearing space for better ideas to take root. When you unlearn an old limitation, like the belief that you are not capable, not deserving, or not ready, you free yourself from a mental cage. You become open to new opportunities simply because you are no longer blocking them with your own doubts. Relearning is the final step, and it is the process of replacing old beliefs with more empowering ones. Life is dynamic, and your understanding must evolve to match it. Relearning allows you to update your mindset so you can meet new challenges with greater wisdom. It may involve revisiting skills you once learned but never mastered. It may involve adopting healthier habits that support the person you want to become. It may involve refining your purpose, strengthening your discipline, or deepening your emotional awareness. Relearning is what transforms experience into growth. It ensures that you do not repeat old mistakes simply because you have not modernized your thinking. Relearning also teaches humility. You recognize that no matter how much you know, there is always more to discover. You become confident but not arrogant, open but not gullible. You learn to approach life with curiosity rather than judgment. This mindset keeps you adaptable in a world that is constantly shifting. Those who refuse to relearn eventually fall behind because they cling to what once worked instead of embracing what now works. Those who stay flexible remain strong because they evolve with life's transitions. One of the greatest benefits of learning, unlearning, and relearning is the resilience it creates. You become someone who can adjust instead of breaking under pressure. You learn to see change not as a threat but as an invitation for growth. You stop fearing the unknown because you trust your ability to adapt. This trust in yourself becomes a deep inner strength. It helps you face challenges with calm instead of panic, courage instead of avoidance. This process also reshapes your identity. You stop defining yourself by who you were and start defining yourself by who you are becoming. You begin to outgrow old labels, outdated roles, and the expectations others placed on you. You start to see yourself not as a fixed character but as a developing story. Each new lesson adds depth to your character. Each belief you release removes a barrier. Each new idea you embrace helps you rebuild a wiser, stronger, more capable version of yourself. In the end, learning, unlearning, and relearning is about growth, adaptability, and evolution. It allows you to rise above the patterns that limited you, embrace ideas that empower you, and continuously shape your life in alignment with your potential. As we reach the end of this journey, remember that rebuilding yourself is not a single moment. It is a continuous commitment to rise above who you were yesterday. You have the power to redesign your thinking, reshape your habits, and realign your life with the vision you hold for yourself. The tools are in your hands. Responsibility, a renewed philosophy, daily disciplines, the right associations, clear goals, and the courage to learn, unlearn, and relearn. These are not ideas to admire, they are practices to apply. Your future is not waiting for perfect circumstances, it is waiting for your decision to begin. Every strong, capable, extraordinary person you admire once stood exactly where you stand now, facing the same choice, stay the same or rebuild. Choose the path that honors your potential. Choose the path that leads you to the person you were always meant to become. Good luck on this journey of transformation. May your effort be steady, your vision be clear, and your belief in yourself grow stronger every day. Thank you for listening, and thank you for choosing to rebuild the greatest project you will ever work on. Yourself.